Hi there. This is just a video just to go over what are called pentatonic scales, and also diving into just a little bit of music theory. Just enough so we kind of know what's going on here. So, first things first, before we dive into the concept of pentatonic scales and exactly what they are and what they're used for, you might hear people sometimes talking to each other and saying things like, maybe there's like a rhythm and a lead guitar talking to players talking to each other, and they're learning a song and they sort of say like, oh, what key is this song in? And then maybe one of them says, oh, it's in the key of G major or A major or whatever, and they go, oh, okay, cool, and then they set off to work and they know what to do. So you might be asking yourself, okay, well, what was communicated by that? What key is it in? It's in A major. Oh, okay, thank you. What was communicated there? So, first of all, the key of a song is sort of like, I think of it as sort of just the framework of the song. Depending on what key you're in, that's going to determine the type of scales that you might be using, the type of chords that you're going to use, the type of sounds that are going to sound good together, the type of vibe that the song is going to give off. It kind of determines everything. The key of the song is super, super important. And when someone says something like, oh, let's just use A major. We're going to use A major for this entire video, just to use as the example. Let's say someone says, oh, the song is in A major. What was conveyed there, what was said was, one, A major. So major, a key can be in sort of there can be two main sort of vibes that are given off by a key. Either it can give off a major vibe, which is sort of that more happy sounding sound, that sort of, it sounds kind of happy, it sounds bright, or it could be in a minor key, which gives off a much more sort of gloomy, mysterious, and even bluesy sort of sound. So like, here's an example of like a minor. More mysterious, I think mysterious, gloomy, bluesy, a little bit more like that. So first of all, when someone explains or describes, the song as, oh, it's A major, A minor, the major and minor part, that's referring to, first of all, sort of like, oh, okay, what's the vibe that's being giving off? Is it sort of this, we're playing this sort of bright, happy sounding song, or are we playing a more bluesy, mysterious, gloomy sort of song? The second thing that's kind of conveyed is the A major, A minor. What does that mean? The A part, that means that your root note is A. That's what that means. So it means that you've taken a group of notes together and you've made A the sort of leader of the group. And so when you're playing an A major, that's your A note there. What that means is A is your leader. You want your sort of your riffs, you want your chord progressions to all fall back to A. Or if you're playing chords, you want them to fall back to A major if you're in the key of A major, and if you're just playing scales and stuff like that, you want to resolve back to A, and the notes that you want to play are notes that are going to give off that sort of happy sounding sound, with A as your key note, your root, your leader of your group. If you're playing, say, in a minor key, you're playing an A minor, what that means is A is still your leader, but the members of your group, the type of notes that you're using with A, have changed. And because of the way that music is and the way that it sounds, when you change those notes up and you add, you switch up some of the members of the group, A, that's still an A note, right? Or A's still that sort of dominant force, the one that's sort of anchoring everything down, but the notes that you're playing with it, depending on which notes you're playing, are going to give off a totally different vibe. And that's sort of the difference between playing, let's say, a scale in A major or a scale in A minor. And then this is going to focus mostly on like scales and sort of lead guitar and improv stuff. So I'll probably do another lesson for like thinking about the keys of songs and then applying that to like chord progressions and things like that. But for now, we're going to focus, let's say, on scales. So right there sort of gave a little example of what the difference is between let's say A minor and A major, and this is the exact same difference between, let's say, like E major and E minor, or G major and G minor, whatever. They both share the same root note, but the notes that you're playing with that root note gives off a totally different vibe. I like to think of it this way. Let's say you've got someone and who hangs out with a certain group of friends, and when that guy's the leader. When he's the leader of this particular group of friends, they do all sorts of, like, nice and good things, like, they're helping grandmas across the street and volunteering at the soup kitchen or whatever, right? But then if that same person is now, you change the members of his group, and now he's got different friends that he's hanging out with. Maybe these are kind of like, these are troublemakers here. Now they're doing, graffiti and hopping fences and who knows what. He's still the leader, but because the members of the group have changed, the whole vibe that this group gives off has totally changed. And that's maybe a bit of a silly way, but that's a way that I kind of think of the difference between like a major and a minor key. But a major and a minor that share the same root note. Like, for example, A major, A minor, G minor, something like that. So now that we've kind of got that down of kind of like what exactly a key is, what it means to, be playing in, let's say, like A major, A minor. What does major and minor mean? What is that, like, first part? A, G's, whatever, what that's referring to. Our root note, now that we kind of got that down, why don't we talk a little bit about what a pentatonic scale is. A pentatonic scale is a really, really great, when you're starting up, doing sort of trying to do some improv or some like lead guitar or some riffs or some improv, it's an excellent sort of like just like, first sort of scale that you can use. So you're not just kind of, going by ear and trying to just figure out what sounds good. You actually have sort of a tool that you can use that is going to work. So for us, we're going to be playing in the key of A major and A minor. So that means that A is going to be our root for the entire song, but we can take what we're learning here and we can apply it to different root notes. Or if, let's say, we wanted to play an E major, E minor, or G major, G minor, we could take what we're learning here using A major and A minor, and we can apply it to that. We'd have to take the position that we're going to learn, we're going to have to move it around the neck. I plan on making more videos just to kind of, even just going through E major and E minor, whatever. So, but just know that you can take what you're learning here and apply it to different keys. So, first of all, why don't we start off with exactly what is a pentatonic scale? So, using A major and A minor as our example, what you're doing to get your pentatonic scale, you're going to take the regular major scale. You're going to take, so for example, an A major. Right, you probably heard that in school or whatever. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, no. Right? What you're doing is you take that scale, and notice there's 8, technically 7 notes, right? If you count the high A right there, the octave there, then it's 8 notes. But if you're not counting that, then it's just 7. So I just like that in there because it gives that resolution, right? That's the power of the root note. You want to resolve. That's what kind of resolves the tension in the song. So what you're going to want to do is what a pentatonic scale is essentially what you're doing is you're taking that scale. If you're using a major pentatonic to replace a regular major scale, you're taking the major the major scale, the regular major scale, and you remove that 4th note. You remove the 4th note, 5, 6, 7, and you remove the 7th note. So all you're left with is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and then I guess technically the 8th or it's the octave. Cool. That's what happens if you're using a major pentatonic to replace a major scale. If you're using a minor pentatonic to replace a minor scale, this is a minor scale, for example, this is an A minor scale. What you're doing there is you're taking the minor scale and you're removing that 2nd note, you're removing the 2nd note, 3, 4, 5, you're removing the 6th note, 7, and then your octave again. So in the case of the minor, you're taking your minor scale and you're removing the second note and the sixth note in the scale. Or, sorry. You're taking out those notes. And what you're left with is just the first note, the third note, the fourth note, the fifth note, the seventh note, and then the octave. So that's where they're coming from. That's why they sound good. Is because they literally come from the major and the minor scales in which they're replacing. So there's no crazy magic here. You're taking the scale and you're just removing a couple notes, and then you have a pentatonic scale. So why don't we get into the way though that I think about it is I think about it in terms of positions on the neck. So right, like if we just for example, for the A major, we're going to start off with this one right now. This is position 1 of A major. What you're going to do, and it looks like this, it's just... And what that is, why don't we just go through that really quick, or even slow, whatever, we're going to go through it right now. What that is we're going to start off, we're just going from the first string all the way to down to the sixth string, and what we're going to do is this is sort of the shape, or the position that we're going to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our pinky on the 5th fret of the first string, and then we're going to go down to the 2nd fret of the first string. So that's just all we're doing on that first string. This is A major. We're doing A major pentatonic position 1. Good. The next one is on the 2nd fret, or sorry, 2nd string, and we're doing the same thing. 5th fret, 2nd string, and 2nd fret, 2nd string. So far we got... And then, for the next 3 strings, we, I call this the box, just because it's nice and kind of close. And what you're doing is for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th strings, you just go 4, I'm going to go by frets. You go 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2. And then on that 6th string, it's the same thing as that high E. Low E is always going to be the same thing as the high E. You just go 5, 2. There you go. So all together. Cool. But just that, I'm just going to take a quick sip of my tea. Just that alone is just a group of notes. There's nothing that's making that necessarily a major, right? So what you're going to have to do on top of that is you're going to have to then aim for the A note. So you might say, where is the A note? Well, the A note it's actually in 3 places in this sort of shape. It's in the spot where what I call the major root slot. So what that means is it's, well, if you played the same position, let's say different parts of the neck, which you'd have to do if you were playing, let's say, in like a different key, like you're playing an E major or a B major or whatever, you'd be playing that same shape at a different point in the neck, but the root would always be in the same sort of position, or it'd be in the same sort of slot relative to where you're playing on the neck. So in this case, we're playing an A major. Here's where the root note is. This is where your A is. It's right here. It's on your. It's the pinky right there, 5th fret, 1st string. It's also, if we went down, it's also on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And if you keep going down, it's also on the 5th fret of the 6th string, just like on the high E. It's also on the 5th fret of the low E. So what happens is when you're going to be using this scale, right, someone might be playing, just a little something that's like in the key of A major. So if you were a rhythm guitar player, you'd be maybe playing something like this. And then the lead guitar, if they're using the A major pentatonic scale position 1, they might do something like this. Maybe something like... right? Notice how all my riffs are sort of aiming for those. They're all aiming for that root note. They're all kind of trying to go back home. They're all trying to go back there. And that's what kind of, that's what makes that group of notes give off that A major vibe. Because you're making A your leader. You're trying to always resolve on the A or bring that riff back home to a root note. So that's what's kind of giving it that vibe. So that's how, that would be position 1 of the A major. To find the position 1 of the minor, but you're using still the same root note. So in our case, to find position 1 of A minor pentatonic, what you do is you take the position 1 of the major, A major pentatonic, and you move the whole thing up 1, 2, 3. You move it up 3 frets, but you keep that same shape. So again, so remember this? It's that same shape, but instead now what we're doing is we got our pinky on the 8th fret of the 1st string, 8, 5, 5th fret, 1st string, and then the 2nd string, same thing, but 8, 5, and then we got our box, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5. I'm talking frets, right? 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret. There you go. And then on our low E, and again, so that this is just a group of notes, right? So there's nothing that's particularly making this group of notes A minor, not quite yet. What we have to do is to make that group of notes A minor, we gotta aim for our A note. That's our leader, right? It's just A hanging out with a different group of frets. So we gotta aim for A. Where is A in this case? A is actually not, right? If we aim for the major root slot in this position, it'd be something totally different. It'd actually be C major, but it would be something totally different. So what we're gonna have to do is instead we're gonna have to aim for the minor root slot in the position 1. The minor root slot is actually right here, so I'll show you. So if we start off just from that first note of the A minor pentatonic, we've got an A right there. That's an A note. That's the same note, right? So that's our 5th fret of the 1st string. If we keep going down, our next root, or another A, is on the 7th fret of the 4th string. If we keep going down, that's on our 5th fret of the 6th string. Same thing as 5th fret of the 1st string. So that's where we're going to be aiming. Now check this out. If I were to play like something in A minor, right? Right? I'm now aiming for the A note, but amongst that group of notes, and the A is in that minor root slot. I'm aiming for that minor root slot, and that gives off the sort of minor vibe. So that's how you would play, that's how you would use, or at least in A major and the A minor pentatonic. And you can take that concept and you can kind of apply it elsewhere in the neck. So if you play the position 1 anywhere in the neck, and if you're aiming for what would be in the minor root slot, wherever that is, that'll give off a sort of major vibe with that, using that position. If you use that pentatonic position and instead wherever you're playing it on the neck and you aim for the minor root slot, then what's going to happen is it's going to give off that sort of minor bluesy sort of vibe. So so I think what I'll be doing is I'll be making other videos that'll go through, say, like, E major, or B minor, B major, B minor, just so you can see how that, let's say, that position 1 is used in different places. And actually, not only that, fun fact, that's not even the only position, right? That's just one shape of the pentatonic. There's actually 4 more. There's 5 pentatonic shapes in total. So that's just one way for example, when we were playing this, that's actually just one way to play A major pentatonic. And this, that's just one way to play A minor pentatonic. There's actually, for each one, there's 4 more ways, right? So there's a whole lot with this, and it's really cool. But I think for now, just to kind of start off, we've kind of learned, okay, what is a key? Where does the pentatonic scales come into this? Where do they come from? And just for now, using A as our root note, just sort of playing around with position 1 of A major and A minor pentatonic. So again, A major pentatonic, and when we use those notes, you're going to be aiming for your A note, which is in the minor root slot, or sorry, the major root slot, sorry, because we're playing an A major. The other one, you take, if you want to play A minor, you take the A major, 1, 2, 3, and then you play that. So cool. And then what you do is you take that group of notes and you're aiming for your A, but A is now in the minor root slot. So that's where you're gonna aim. That's where your A is, and that's where you're gonna aim for. So that's how, for now, you could at least use A major and A minor, the pentatonic scales, just to practice your own sort of improvisation, your own soloing or whatnot. One thing you can use is to practice this is you could easily just go on YouTube and punch in like blues in A, or like jam in A major, or jam in A minor, or jam track, whatever. You could do that, and then you could play along with those sorts of things. So let's say you want to practice your A major scale, you could look up like a jam in A major and play along with that. Or if you're want to practice the A minor, look up like a jam in A minor. And then practice that A minor pentatonic, position 1, right? A blues is really good. Blues is good because you can kind of do both. You could practice the A major over a blues in A, or you can practice the A minor over a blues in A. They both kind of work. The other option is I actually have some videos that I've put up that are just called like jam track in A, or A major, or A minor jam track. And you could totally use those just to click play and then just practice these sorts of scales as well. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. I realize that the concept of keys and diving into theory a little bit, and where scales are coming from, root notes, whatever. I realize that that can be a bit overwhelming. That can be a lot of information. That can be a bit confusing. So I hope to make some more videos just to then kind of clarify a little bit more if I wasn't totally clear this time around. And obviously I appreciate any comments or feedback on, things that I could add next time, or things that I should talk about, or things that I could clarify next time. So feel free to leave any feedback or anything like that. I'd really appreciate it. So why don't we leave it there for today? So happy playing, and good luck. Cheers.